Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're here with FOF Week 4, Day 2, with Team H Block versus Ruby's Light Up Sketchers. Jesus, I cannot believe I have to actually say that out loud. I'm here with Bean Jar. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I think, maybe next season they might change it to restless leg syndrome, so that's going to be pretty cool. Who knows?
Is that confirmed?
You know what? I've talked with some of the players, and one of them was like, "Yeah, I'm partial to doing that because they don't really have anything which RLS means, or they do. It's the name of a Discord server, but they'll change it up based off of what they feel. So I'm really hoping for that."
All right, here's to me praying that they choose not to do that. And the bans are coming out real quick. We have all three bans from both teams coming out. What do you think from what you see so far?
I'm liking the ban so far. I think that we actually haven't seen something like Cho'Gath being picked. Actually, we've seen only one game of Cho'Gath, and in those games, it's actually done really good. So I have good expectations for the current pick so far in RLS.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really strong into tanks. Now, interesting that they would choose to take Lulu, having have banned out the two main hyper carries at the moment, with Tristana and Jinx both being taken away by them. But this Lulu is a flex. It can go either mid, top, or support. And I'm really happy to see that these teams are picking up some of these enchanters now that they've become more powerful with the Moonstone buff.
Yeah, enchanters in general have just been my personal favorite as far as champion or support champions go, just because of what they can do. I particularly like Lulu. I'm assuming they just want Cho'Gath to get even bigger because he's already massive.
Yeah, the Lulu ult on Cho'Gath with an Iron Elixir will be huge in the late game. And having Sona and Set being picked up here is that is an interesting combination. Sona's probably going to go to the support role. Now Set is not going to be a flex. He can either be the mid or top, but generally it's going to be in that top lane. How do you feel about Set versus Cho'Gath? It's been a while since we've seen this matchup. It used to be a pretty common one, but it has been a long time. Both champions have received a lot of changes. So how do you feel about the matchup right now?
As far as Set goes for Cho'Gath, I think Set might edge out just a little more because his dueling's going to be pretty nice. But later in towards the team fight, I feel like Cho'Gath might be a bit more useful.
Yeah, that true damage is always a big threat, especially if he has any AP. We don't know yet. These
AP
teams are.
Cho'Gath.
Yeah, they do have some spice in their life. They may go the AP route. It is still viable, so we could possibly see that. The Orianna being taken is going to be super standard, probably. One of the most common picks we're seeing. She's just been ridiculous. When Riot will nerf her, when everyone will be happy and we don't have to see her anymore. But yeah, Orianna super standard, and both teams have gone pretty standard, other than having these enchanters being picked so early.
Yeah, I'd like to point out the Ezreal ban. I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Ezreal is just so strong nowadays and the damage that he can dish out with all of the Essence Reaver build. So I think, at least for a picker ban, not entirely necessary, but I think it's pretty smart. Oh my, that's a Kog'Maw Lulu.
Him getting those random crits with Essence Reaver and then lethality is really, really good for the squishies. And Kog'Maw coming in this has been really common. Kog'Maw has received multiple buffs in a row. He's extremely strong right now. Lulu has always been his best pairing, and coincidentally enough, she also got buffs because Riot doesn't like bot lane players. And this is one of the most dangerous combinations to any tank. Kog'Maw can four-shot most tanks when he gets to max items, and I really, really like seeing this come out. This shows that players are reading the patch notes and making adaptations.
Yeah, this is pretty good on the side of RLS because it's countering all the tanky picks that they have. However, on the side of Jhin and Neeko, I feel like they're going to have enough burst damage just together to hopefully, but based off of leads, they should hopefully be able to take care of the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, with the Neeko going to be in the mid lane against Orianna, she should have a relatively free lane. It's not going to be really dangerous, and she does have the ability to one-shot a Kog'Maw if he does get super strong. But they're going to be really, really concerned because Jhin is not going to output a lot of damage onto Kog'Maw, and he can really out-trade with how much range advantage he does have. So this is going to be really on Kog'Maw to be a major damage threat in this team comp. He's basically going to be the major focus, and I'm really excited to see this solo one threat 80 carry composition come back with Orianna kind of being a little bit of supplemental damage on top of it.
Yeah, same. Actually, who do you think's gonna win this one? Because I'm a bit even, but I think I'm more towards RLS because I like their comp a bit better.
I think depending on how well MK Strom plays, it's going to be really on him. If he plays well, then this should be a relatively easy game. Just based on the draft, I would think it'd be really difficult for RLS to lose unless they play really poorly across the board. They just have a lot more synergy. Their comp fit flows together about a lot better. The champions synergize a lot better, and it seems to be a lot more focused than what Team H Block has put together.
Good. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm predicting. Okay, I'm thinking that we might actually see a blue cane, but there actually seems to be an invade in the bot lane. Does Lulu see them?
She will see them in about 2 seconds, and now she is going to be backing off. This is probably not going to
Peekaboo.
amount to much. That's an interesting invade angle. It can sometimes catch people off guard if they have stepped too far into the river. But Lulu having the speed, the poly, if she needs to quickly level that for speed boost to get out, she probably will be safe unless a flash E came through from the set.
Yeah, but if you do see 5 down there, I would expect that Kane would rather, instead of getting a ward just in pixel, because you see 5, you get a little bit of deeper vision just to know where they start out.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting, if you notice where the Cho'Gath is standing real quick before they go to lane,
Try?
that was something that could have been taken advantage of. When you are standing into that bush, you cannot see if the 5-man stack crosses that corner when you come through the top side. So that could have been an invade angle that they could look for. And if they ever do watch this, that is a really optimal path, as top laners get caught by that probably more than any other role. Just standing in that bush and not being able to see the 5-man stack cross the corner.
Yeah, that's really big point, mainly because I think it's just a standard and like you have the 5-point defense, so that's going to be really easy to be taken advantage of. Actually, they do see where the Kane has started, starting red without a leash, but I don't think it matters because now you know where he starts.
Yeah,
So,
he's already picked up that Wraith Camp, so he is going to do
yeah.
a slightly older style clear for the Kane. It's going to be slightly slower than what the Volibear is going to be able to produce, especially since Volibear is definitely going to be looking for an early gank on this top side. He's gone 3 camps. He's trying to get level 3 as quick as possible. And this
I
is going to be a
mean,
really vulnerable Cho'Gath.
yeah, very vulnerable. But on the side of Kane, he might actually have the opportunity to counter gank. I'm not entirely sure what he's thinking, but if he goes for Krugs, his next open thing would either be for Scuttle or top lane gank, which makes me assume. Actually, we can't really see which side Kane he wants to go for. I assume because the Chillings might actually be blue.
Yeah, I would hope it'd be blue. This is definitely a blue Kane gang. Pretty much all the champions are going to be vulnerable to that burst. Blue Kane is a lot more effective at the moment with how good lethality items are. And just as we predicted, this is going to be a top lane gang setup. Let's see if they're going to be able to make this work. The wave is pushing in, so it looks like the wave management was a little off on the side of the set, not being able to keep it into the middle. The stun is going to land, but that's going to be Cho'Gath walking out with just a little bit of damage. And unless they're going to dive this is probably just going to be Cho'Gath getting an advantage while having Volibear's time wasted.
Yeah, Volibear wasted a lot of time, but I would like to point out, even though he wasted a lot of time, Kane also could have made more of that situation. His path seemed to be generally inefficient because he goes to the Krugs and then has to walk all the way down to Wolves. So there is time wasted, but it could be made up in different areas. But both champions are going to get pretty decent value in their camps at least.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, this has been this is a really old style path. There's a lot of high elo Kane mains that have shot away from the Wraith start unless you're going to be taking the enemy Wraiths just because of how slow this can be. If Volibear is here and has done a normal path, he'd be level 4 to the Kane level 3 and it'd be really, really vulnerable to him being able to pick up the Scuttle. So it's interesting start. Your Wraith camp is going to spawn at a weird time, so now you're going to be on Grump with your Wraith camp up and your Krugs aren't going to be available. So definitely some pathing that can be fixed or changed as the game has changed.
Yeah, it'll be pretty. I mean, it'll be pretty easy to change, but it's just time. It's only time lost, but they're
Oh, here's
actually a
going to be the
Fear
root
Machine.
landing. That's going to be electrocuted. Really good
Ooh.
trade.
I don't think they'll have any kill pressure yet, but I do expect some kind of tensions building up inside the mid lane. I think maybe a skirmish between Kane and Volibear, unless they just back.
Yep, Volibear is here. He is going to be picking up that camp. He has his Krug still available, so he's a camp behind on the Kane. Kane could easily pick up a camp advantage. This is 2 wards coming through into this try, so they're going to see the Volibear walk through.
They see
Prolubu's
him
been
twice as
spotted out
much.
basically everywhere he's been so far.
Yeah, the Kane seems to actually be going for a modified version of full clearing. Volibear might actually get some deep vision. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. They do
Oh,
know
here
where
comes
he
the gank.
is.
They're going to spot him. There's going to be the root landing. That's going to be the W also with the slow. It's going to be Nico in trouble, but they've
What?
caught the heads. That is the Nico clone. Everybody was looking the wrong way, and Nico is just going to swag walk her way out of that.
That
Oh,
fooled
here,
everyone.
Up and
Oh
here we
no.
go. That's going to be some damage onto the Orianna, but that is not going to be enough from the Volibear by himself. But beautiful play from this Nico, really utilizing that W and just escaping the gank way too easy.
That was genius. I had no idea. I thought the Nico would have had to blow flash or something, but no, she was out the entire time.
Yeah, never under threat. The actual interaction of the Nico W is really hard to understand for people who don't play her frequently, and it even caught me off guard. I'm not a Nico connoisseur as it was, but my mid laner plays it quite often, so it's really hard to understand what clone is going to be when they spurt out in two different directions after she uses it.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe it could be based off of like which Nico can turn, because you can send the Nico in different directions, but manual control might not actually be a thing, so that's something to watch out for. But I'm really impressed by that Nico play, so I'm assuming that as the game goes on and the Nico gets more and more damage, we're gonna see some massive, like really impressive team fight plays to be made with that.
Yeah, and lanes are going as expected, with the set being able to accrue an advantage into the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is still going to be happy, though, because he does have a freeze, and he is going to be farming up, and he is one of the best scaling tanks in the game. Kayn has managed to pick up a multiple camp advantage onto this Volibear. This is not typical, but he is going to ding 6 a lot faster than what the Volibear is going to be able to manage, so he should be able to utilize that, especially since he needs to get those stacks for Blue Kayn as early as possible.
Yeah, actually, based off his items, he might actually go Red Cane. I have no idea at this point. It's very confusing. Actually, no, Red Cane because of the Conquer, I assume.
Yeah, he does have Conqueror, which up and there's gonna be a solo kill that's gonna happen off screen. So hopefully we're just
Let's
gonna
go for
quickly
the
get into a
replay.
replay to see what happened. This is gonna be the Nico walking up with the W most likely and landing this E. Yep, that's gonna be the W stealth. The E's gonna land, multiple damage coming through. The R is gonna land, flash out, not gonna make it out, and the passive R from auto from the W is gonna pick it up. Beautiful solo kill from the Nico onto the Orianna.
That's why all of my points are now on H block. But yeah. I mean, okay. I was that Nico play impressed me so much. I just all-ined on that team with my points. Like,
You know what?
yeah,
I'm still
I
gonna
hope.
stick with my sneakers here. They have some fresh kicks. They have the comps. They have everything they need. I still think even with the solo kill, they still should be in a good spot because Nico killed an Orianna with teleport available, so it's not as bad as it could have been. But this is gonna be a big trade. Cho'Gath's taking a lot of damage. He's trying to get set into that R range. The showstopper is gonna come through, and Cho'Gath is gonna drop. A really aggressive trade, ending with another solo kill.
That is
But here comes the
brutal.
gank, and I'm not going to even get a chance to speak. Kane's going in, the gank's coming through. They're going to be onto the right clone this time. Nico is going to be slowed. She does still have the flash available. Shockwave
Yeah,
hasn't been used yet, but the Kane R is going to be on. Shockwave is going to sombrero on the other side. That's going to be the flash over the wall. The Kane is still chasing, and that is going to be Nico getting out, and the sombrero coming from Birds Aren't Real.
I feel like Kane had a chance to keep on following. The Q going in the wrong direction was maybe a slight misplay, but then from there on, you know that Nico doesn't have any roots or flash. Maybe a missed kill, but honestly, really well executed overall. I'm more curious. In that previous fight, could Cho'Gath have possibly won? Because he had flash up as well, and he had the opportunity to stay inside his minion wave for more damage.
Yeah, he absolutely, if he would have stayed inside his minion waves, that would have been set getting into the execute range. So provided the showstopper came out late, Cho'Gath probably should have won that. There was a huge wave that Set was fighting in, so I think it was really winnable on the side of Cho'Gath, and it was probably just a slight mechanical misplay, not knowing his damage, and a little bit scared of what the Set can put out. But
Yeah,
here we
that
go.
makes
The
sense.
Teleport's going to come in. Cho'Gath is going to be in trouble. He does still have the flash available. He's going to be flashed out, but there is a red buff slow. And that is going to be Cho'Gath walking out with Set. Going to be freezing this wave. Cho'Gath is going to be a really sad spot for the next couple minutes.
Yeah, I'm seeing on the side of Pengu Soldier on his cane, his clears seem to be pretty inefficient. Like, he hasn't gone to try and fix them. He's taking one side, leaving the other side. I mean, they might have some skirmishes based off of this Herald that makes it more efficient. But regardless, Kane, when I personally play him, even though his ganks are amazing, he's so amazing. He's really good at like full clearing everything. Like his AoE, his healing, it's really easy to full clear on Kane. And I'm surprised because of how little ganks he has, he's not actually ganking, or he's not actually farming as much as he normally should.
Yeah, absolutely. This has definitely not been a pathing exquisite path from either jungle. I think Prolupo has had a slightly slower clear than he should have expected based on really committing to these ganks that didn't end up working out. And both junglers are a little bit behind the clip of where you would expect them to be. At this point, usually at 10 minutes, they can hover around 80 CS if they have no ganks to their name. They're both 0-0 and no dragon is taken, so that could have been the clip that they were at. But Kane is going to still be in a slightly advantageous advantage until these next couple minutes go down, where it's going to be a really big problem that he does not have his transform yet.
Yeah, the dragon's actually going to be really massive because on the side, I would say HBK is just a bit more tanky.
Oh,
Oh,
here comes the
no.
showstopper into the tower. That's going to be
Whew.
big damage, and Set is barely going to make it
Wait.
out. The Cho'Gath Feast did not do enough, and this
Oh,
wave is still
no.
frozen in the top lane. Up here we go. That's going to be the all-in for the Cho'Gath. He's looking. He does have the HP advantage. W's going to look. He's going to misplay his walk and get R into the tower. Then the R is going to be late, and that is going to be Set getting in that solo kill with the advantage he managed to pick up from that natural sustain he has.
Yeah, it seems that Set's just been winning so far just by little slivers, by hairs. Like, it seems like it goes good for the Cho'Gath, but then at this point, I'd say after two deaths, two failures, like, if you lose the fight enough times and it's that close, the third time's not going to be, like, even remotely close because now he has a massive wallet to just slap you with.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was really winnable on the side of the show. It looks like he just walked down to dodge the W instead of walking up where he was going to be putting to
Um,
in Showstopper into the tower range. So just another slight misplay. It happens in laning phases sometimes. Here comes the E that's going to be missing. But yeah, I think he was looking for an angle that was possible, but just didn't play it to the optimal value.
Yeah, I say that on my side for RLS, that's going to be a slight complaint, mainly for the fact I think in this situation, more actually means less as you go on, because let's say you have your fully scaled Kog'Maw
Up and
with
here
your
comes
Lulu.
another gank. So that is going to be
Oh,
the Cho'Gath getting caught off by this Volibear. Kane is on the way. The R is going to come through from the Volibear. A lot of damage being put down. Here's the W. Kane is going to be going in by himself, but he has a lot of damage to put out. The W is going to come out. Kane's R is going to come out. He's going to get a double
whoa!
kill as the Q and the Iron Spike Whiff picks up both of them with that extra damage. And Kane is going to be really happy picking up all those red stacks in one fight.
That is an absurd amount of gold. That his Darkin's immediately ready. He did nothing before that, and now his Darkin's already ready in that single fight. That is the perfect thing that could ever have happened to that Kane. Not so much
Yeah,
for the Cho'Gath, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that is the old buffs from for the Kane. He's gonna instantly get that the Gore Drinker after that. So much damage that he now has managed to accrue. But Kane does get more stacks after 10 minutes into the game because he had been getting extremely slow transforms. It was really one of his difficult points. But yeah, that fight just gave a shutdown, another isolated kill, a lot of experience and damage and extra damage picked up for this Kane at this point.
Yeah, that was really good for him. I thought it would actually gone into the way of HBK, mainly because Preform Kane is essentially not a champion. It's really weak.
Yeah, and then they are now converging. So this is going to be a 3v4. The bot lane is going to be here first. That's going to be a lot of damage onto Prolupo. He does not have his ultimate available. The R is going to hit too. Kog'Maw is out of position. He's going to be getting the R. Now, provided he dodges this last shot, he should be fine. The knockup's going to land onto the Nico. Nico is going to go down. The fourth shot is not going to be enough to take out the Lulu, and that is another one fight.
That is brutal. Like, the Nico had, even at that point, got a 3-man ultimate. Like, you can't really do too much more than that. I feel that it's very likely that Jint was really close to where he needed to auto, but instead decided to use ultimate, which I'm not too sure about. That's just unfortunate for the side of HBK. Rip all of my channel points.
Absolutely. They really have built together a really strong stand your ground composition, and this is, and as you saw, the Kog'Maw doesn't even really need to kite. If he gets that Lulu R with the E on him, he can basically just face tank and be able to outfight and out sustain. So that was a really well played advantage in pick bans. I'm going to need to see if they still manage to accrue these advantages as they move on.
Yeah, I'd say there's actually a slight gold advantage for HBK. Pengu's Soldier actually walks over a ward, clears it, has the opportunity to either clear the rest of his camps. I think this game is lost unless he's trying to go for I'm not too sure what he's doing. I guess sharing XP somehow.
It
Yeah.
looks like he was concerned that another freeze may be coming from this set,
Um,
as that had been a frequent occurrence. But set should know that Kane is still around. He needs to be concerned taking so much damage from the Cho'Gath. The Cho'Gath has scaled. He does have multiple points in his E at this point. That's going to be Pengu Soldier going in. He's going to go use his R to get that heal. The knockup is going to land. Set has nothing available, so there shouldn't be any more for Pro Lupul to accrue. The
Cho'Gath
E
no
slow is
mana.
going to provide, and yeah, that is enough. That is enough, and both teams are going to back off.
Oh, I feel like Volibear should have tried for that, mainly because Cho'Gath had no mana. He's not really going to do too much for that fight. Wow, it's half HP from the Nika right there, one combo.
Yeah, that's going to be really dangerous. No MR is going to be built for this Orianna for a long time, so she's going to need to dodge those E's. It's a really, really dangerous ability when it comes to Nico's setup and kill pressure. And
Yeah,
if you're not really comfortable with this matchup, it can happen a lot and really give Nico some pressure that she otherwise wouldn't have had.
yeah, I feel like the Kog'Maw and the Kayn are just taking their lead and running away with it. I don't think that Set is doing enough with his lead. I think that's all going to be decided on this next fight because everyone's going to have TP up. This is going to either be conceded or a massive fight. Because if you look at the gold, they're essentially even with HBK up like 1K, but that's not going to make the world's amount of difference in this situation.
Yeah, Set is going to need to do more, and provided he keeps building some AD, this is an example of where Set can be a monster team fighter because he's always going to have that Cho'Gath to R back into his team, and that extra damage from the Showstopper could be enough. But it looks like at the moment, Cho'Gath has managed to stabilize and is not going to be losing that much further. But here is a dive on the mid lane, big setup. Pro Lupul is going to get it going with the R. The tower is going to be turned off. The E is going to land. The Shockwave is going to land late. But Volibear is going to walk it out, and that's going to be another kill and first tower picked up for HBK.
Oh, yeah, my channel pointer is safe, but you have the actual opportunity because Nico still has teleport, Set has teleport. And they might actually see Kane backing you. They do see that he's around bottom lane, but you might have for a bot lane skirmish into Dragon or straight up Dragon by itself.
Yeah, really smart on the side of Pengu Soldier. He cancels his back. He needs to be there to protect his bot lane from this dive, as there is a ward onto the enemy team, and they can look for something. Here is the Cho'Gath fighting again. The W is not going to land. This is going to be some extra damage. Cho'Gath does have enough if he manages to get any more significant damage onto this set. And that is going to be the it of the trade, and Volibear is going to pick up this dragon uncontested, as Kane has chosen to back at this point, and the bot lane has priority to move.
Yeah, the Cho'Gath would have loved a dragon like that, but on the side of HBK, that's actually super useful. The Sona ult to set up, the Nico ult to set up, and really just so many powerhouse ultimates that could change a team fight on that team. So that's going to be really helpful for them.
Yeah, and Infernal Rift is going to be what is going to come out. That's going to be the stun landing. The E is going to chunk out the set a little bit, so that is going to be a relatively even trade after these minions go down due to the Carnivore passive of this Cho'Gath. The knockup from Kane is going to miss, and I think both teams are very happy with the single dragons that they managed to pick up. The Mountain is going to be really good for this Cho'Gath and Kane to get that extra tankiness that they wouldn't have otherwise had to look for those fights. And the Cloud is going to be really good for the side of ST. I'm sorry for the others, for the other side. For the other side
RLS?
to make sure that they have that ultimate cooldown.
RLS or HBK?
Oh,
Head hurts. Too many letters, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Way too many letters. Here, that's going to be the smite landing from the Kane. He is going to still be looking for this set. He's going to take a lot of damage. Set needs to be concerned, and that's going to be the Q and Iron Spike Whiff again from the Gore Drinker, taking out the set, and that's going to be a solo kill for the Kane. I don't even believe that was heavily assisted by the Cho'Gath.
Yeah, not very much at all. The Kane he has so much farm and kills that he's going to just take this lead and just own the entire game with it. I think that the only other person that could stop him would probably be the Nico, depending on how that goes, just because that perma CC over time. So it's
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a Kane with a Nico, with a Lulu support in the bot lane. Any extra supplemental shields that come out for him is going to be massive with all the healing that he's already going to do. And there's not going to be that many champions who can effectively build healing reduction for a long period of time unless Jin chooses to stunt his build and go for it, which he doesn't look to be neglecting to take that path at this point.
Does Blast Whisper not build into... Actually, not very much nowadays.
No, it does not.
Okay, unfortunate. These new items. I mean, understandable, but actually, there's might be Pengu Soldier. Are you gonna go for it? They might act. Sona might go to Ward. Face check it. Oh no, they seem to be okay. Pengu Soldier has a good line of opportunity in which he could walk back behind if they go at least
Oh,
into the
here we
middle.
go. This is going to
What?
be another R into the Orianna. She is going to be getting away for only for a little bit of time, as H Block is still going to manage to pick this up. Let's look and see exactly what happened. More than likely, the W comes out, the E lands, and then it's just an all-in. Yep, that's going to be the E landing. That's going to be the stun landing from the Everfrost. Now Ori is going to be flashing, and she doesn't have enough to get away. Another solo kill for this Nico. She is going to have to do plenty for this to continue on, as the W is going to miss. The kiting is going to be in the opposite direction of the set. Now the R is going to be up for the set and available, but the E isn't going to land, so that's going to mean that Kane gets out. And really, really well played on the side of both. But the Orianna is going to be dropping again with teleport available, so she is not going to be punished too hard, but she is going to be dropping 40 CS behind this Nico.
Oh, she's gonna be. I feel like she's gonna be pretty punished now that she's a flashless, and Nico will have flash for that future engage. So as far as the team fight might be concerned, it's gonna be really good for Nico if the opportunity shows itself.
Yeah, and at this point, they need to realize that Nico is extremely strong and has gotten to the point where Ori is going to be relatively irrelevant when it comes to damage, but she does still provide those shields and the DPS that's going to be needed for this Kog'Maw. And if you look at the CS after it comes back on the board, Kog'Maw is really happy about where he is at this point in the game. He's very even with the Jhin. If any point in this happens in lane, this is one of those situations where, as LS would say, that doing inaction has been action. The 2,000 gold lead is not enough to offset the champion differential that naturally occurs from these champions being even. So I believe they're still in a solid spot, even though this fight top lane is not going into their favor so far.
Yeah, top lane is not doing amazing, but Cho'Gath doesn't really care that much about his leads. Minions, Chomp 3, yeah, he's building up. He's scaling super well. Like, I don't think you could really stop him. He's always going to be a massive tank that it's going to be difficult to get through regardless.
He's at this point where he kind of can sustain through anything that Set can really put out. He's not really going to be in solo kill pressure. And at this point, if he chooses to play this aggressively, this is one of those periods into the game where Cho'Gath could easily look to solo kill this Set if Set gets too greedy with his trades.
Yeah, definitely. All of the fights before have been aided by the fact of maybe just health differentials or towers. Oh, my actually.
Oh, here we go. That's going to be the Rupture landing, and that's going to be the silence coming out. Set is slow, even with the thing. He's going to have to dodge this W. If a W lands, it's going to be really dangerous. A double knockup. He's in the bounce house. He's still slow. The W is going to come out, but the R is available, and the Chomp comes down, and that is going to be a dead Set.
Yeah, Set just doesn't seem to be doing too much with his lead. On the side of HBK, they have a lot of good opportunities, but I feel like Set needs to do less and like wait for his like time to shine. He's not gonna get his solo kill on Cho'Gath like a million armor at this point. He has no kill pressure. You need to wait for like several years until maybe you could all be Ori or the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, there is a lot to be concerned about. You have to keep track of how much sustain that the Cho'Gath does get from his passive and how much comes through. At this point, the Set does not have enough HP to really out-sustain the Cho'Gath, so he's going to be in a point where if they're creating constantly, then Cho'Gath is going to accrue that health advantage. Here comes the knockup. Nico is caught out of position. His team has already backed up. He's going to have to get away from this Kane, but the blue spike is going to come through. Everfrost is going to be also available. Auto attack is going to the Sona R is going to force the flash out of the Kane, as that's going to be the end of the fight for the moment, and teleport got brought out from the side of HBK.
I think for a second there, I saw the Nico just pause in her tracks to spam dancing as soon as she got out.
You got to provide the disrespect at every opportunity, and that is going to be a 5-man stack group here on the mid tower. A teleport is going to be coming into available. The Nico is going to be behind. They need to take note of this. This is going to be a big R. The flash is going to come through. Kog'Maw is going to flash it. He's going to be getting free auto attacks. This is Kog'Maw with the R of the Lulu available. The Showstopper is going to come in, but they're still fighting. They're in this clump. Kane is going to pick up another kill. This is now a big fight for the side of HBK. Cho'Gath is going to take a lot of damage. Kane is popping off. He is going to be taken out. That's going to be the Cho'Gath running. He's not going to have enough to get away from here. He's going to flash over the wall. The W has not landed. Jhin R has come through, and that's going to be the shots coming through, and an ace for HBK as they've managed to pick up everyone with a really well executed play.
That was I don't know where Kane's health bar left. Oh, let's check in the replay. Okay, the Nico teleport here. is really good. The tower falls a bit quickly, so you're having a pretty segmented team fight. Look at Pro Lupo. I think he has to flash through this. Yeah, he does. But, like, the initiation works. They're all clumped. You're getting massive damage. The set AoE, the true damage. And I thought Kane would have, like, overhealed this fight, but for some reason his health bar is gone, like, immediately. Yeah, there. I don't know what happened. Where'd it
That
go?
appears to be a crit from the side of the Jin coming through, and the armor pin from that last Whisper really is effective against Kane, who's a low armor target at this point. So that is the guess of where that massive damage has come through, and that is really a mixed execution on the side of SDR. That's pretty much the only way they can win a team fight with the team fight differential that has come through from the compositions. If the Kog'Maw is ulted in by the set and is not able to get the damage out by being chain stunned, it really limits their DPS potential, and they need to do a better job of positioning in these team fights to prevent that type of engage from happening again.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Kog'Maw, or not the Kog'Maw, the Cho'Gath there was actually, that was a good example of how regardless of what you do in lane, like, he's still very useful in these fights. Like he just does massive damage. With the Lord Dominic's regards, that might be different, but, you know, I'm worried for the Cho'Gath to be able to actually tank through these massive autos, because it essentially deletes people at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Cho'Gath is probably pretty happy in this situation. He has 2 completed items with that Thornmail already having come through. So he's at the point where he's in a really, really strong point. Jin has very little life still, even with the fleet. So he could get to the point where Cho'Gath is just too big and he dies attempting to auto him. And with the 3 main damage dealers that are going to be the Set, Volibear, and the Jin, these are all auto attackers who's going to constantly get that healing reduction applied by having to hit this Cho'Gath if they choose to do that in the team fight.
Yeah, I guess that might just be a job for the Nico, but her job seems to be to just capture 3-man ults onto that backline.
Yeah,
It's
she's
hard
gonna
to see
have
how
to
it can
keep
work.
looking for these flanks because they're gonna need to pressure this Kog'Maw. If they attempt to front the back, it is not gonna go into their favor, as they can now, as the Nico will probably not get that big ultimate pressure onto this bot lane. That's gonna be a really, really big damage fight with a 2-item Kog'Maw already coming through.
Yeah, I do love RLS as a team. They're really nice. But, you know, I'm really glad my channel points seem to be safe now.
Yeah, it was interesting. Even in the last team fight, I would wonder if when we get to the point where we can go back and look at the end of the game what occurred, I would wonder if Kog'Maw chose to use his Gale Force to get out of the Nico ultimate instead of his flash. He probably would have still had it up to avoid the set. And this is going to be an engaged. Kog'Maw is out of position. He's here by himself, caught in the mid wave. The R from the Lulu isn't even going to come through. Now they're running away with the Shirelia's Reverie that also came out late. That should have been used when the Kog'Maw was getting caught in the initial engage. And that is going to be Kog'Maw dropping. And there isn't really going to be much on the map at this point, but they're still fighting. The Kane is going to be using R. He's going to get out, so probably the top lane is going to be the most likely spot for a kill. And this is the Cho'Gath once again out sustaining the set, and he's going to be in a solid position for him looking for another kill.
Yeah, Cho'Gath, you can't really stop him. Kaiju just Kaiju things at this point. Yeah, okay. I'm really I'm worried about how Nico would do in these team fights, because in a situation where you actually get to pick off the Jin, I don't know how you do it. You'd need like 4 people on him at once just trying their best. In that situation, does Nico have the consistent damage output to actually win these fights? I'm not sure.
Generally, no. Nico is 100% a burst champion. Her sustained damage is quite low, especially for a mid laner. Orianna will outdo her in that regard. So it's going to be really important for her to get that massive engage with her one shot at accruing that massive amount of damage. And if that doesn't happen, you're now in a situation where you have a front line and multiple champions who are going to be looking to sustain through with the extended sustained damage that they have.
Yeah, I guess that shows that as far as RLS goes, they're pretty well-rounded. But on the side of HBK, all of their eggs are in one basket. So if they somehow drop it, it's going to be really brutal for them.
And this is the teleport coming through. This is going to be the next fight of the game. It's going to be really difficult to fight for. The Kane is going to pick up the smite. That's going to be the big set. Our Gale Force has come out from the Kog'Maw. The Wild Growth has come through. Kog'Maw is trying to kite. He's not going to have enough as this fight is going to push through. The Wilds are just too big. Nico wasn't even there. And that is going to be a 4-for-0 fight and a Baron picked up, most likely for SGR.
You know, I was worried that they didn't get the Dragon. SGR? RLS? No, HBK.
HBK, one of the people. They're one of the they're one of the teams, and they won the fight for.
Insert 3 letters here. I'm gonna have a stroke with all these letters. Okay,
Yeah,
see, in this fight, okay, I'm worried that, like, Cho'Gath doesn't secure it. I think it ends up at 60 HP. Yeah, okay, Cho'Gath ults it at 1,000, but just a little bit too much. I think that's worth it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really big set. He getting the Lulu and the Orianna stun. Orianna got nothing off that fight. She should have had her ball to really zone that angle and prevent them from walking in, but that is an Orianna shockwave not used, a flash not used, and then Lulu getting her shields and heals off extremely late didn't give Kog'Maw enough time to do enough damage. And frankly, this is one of those compositions where you're building into two champions who don't really build resistances. You know they're going to be health stackers from the set in the Volibear. You have to wonder, why not just go Kraken Slayer? If you need to go Gale Force on Kog'Maw, you really shouldn't be picking him, as he's really dependent on having that massive true damage come out from the W and all that stacking that comes out through. So this is a slight build differential until that Blade of the Ruin King comes through and he gets that % max health damage.
I do agree with you, but I'm somewhat curious, because if you have the Kraken Slayer, I assume it's just for Cho'Gath. Otherwise, oh, it might actually be a fight here.
Here you go. That's going to be the knock-up landing. The smite has also come through. This is going to be really difficult for the Nico to get out, even with the stun. That's another knock-up coming through. Kane's going to run out of mana here, though. So if he picks the right one, which he has, Nico is going to get out with that auto attack and the blast cone over the wall.
He just walked out.
And she's going to walk it out once again.
Okay. On the side of Set, I assume you want Set to have the Kraken Slayer instead of the Stride Breaker, yeah?
No. I want Kog'Maw to have the Kraken Slayer.
Oh, yeah, okay, no, that of course. That is Kraken Slayer here would be just really good. You have a lot of enchantments from the Lulu just to keep you safe, so I do agree with that. I was going to be curious if you said Kraken Slayer on the side of Set, because you're not having resistances on the champions you really want to take down.
Yeah, if you're generally when it comes to AD carry players, and what I would often say, if you're going to pick something like Kog'Maw, if you're going to pick a hyper carry max AD, and your team's really indexing into you performing well, you need to have you need to be confident enough to really go those aggressive items and get the max DPS out, especially when you're going something like Gale Force. And Kog'Maw is a really bad Gale Force user, as he's going to rarely ever use it offensively. And you already have all that utility from the Lulu, and that is what she's meant to do. So let her do her job, and you need to get that extra damage to do yours.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Like, ADC is, well, attack damage carry. Like, the entire creation of the role itself is so you can min-max as much damage as possible. So that, that makes sense.
Yep. Plus the mythic bonus that comes out from the Kraken is going to be that attack speed, and that's really good for a Kog'Maw to have. The movement speed he's getting is going to be relatively useless, because he's going to be in a position where he would have gotten that anyway from the Whimsy. So that is that may be a slight disadvantage if not being utilized completely to the optimal level. Let's see how much they lose from this Baron buff. A 10,000 gold lead has already managed to come through.
Set just beating down on his punching bag.
Up and here comes the dive. The shockwave is going to land. The R from the Set is available, so he is going to get the heal. The double root here. Here's the Kog'Maw doing plenty of damage, and he has managed to zone out the last two, as they are going to probably get this tower now, especially with Cho'Gath dropping in the 1v1 to the Set. Now here comes Kane. This is going to be Kane walk through. Is he going to look for anything aggressive, or is he going to continue to run? That's going to be the flash onto the Kane. The Gale Force is going to come out, so that's going to be the autos coming through. That's going to be a big crit on the side of Kog'Maw. He is not going to make it. Lulu is going to be the last alive. Another crit. Here comes the Jhin R. How many can she dodge? She cannot dodge any, and she's going to drop to the first bullet. A triple kill for the Jhin, and that is most likely going to be the game wrapped up here at this point.
Deleted. That is unfortunate. Oh, another execute. No, run away. Oh, no, he's gone.
Yep, and that's going to be an unofficial quadra for the Jhin, as he's managed to pick up multiple kills, and he is massive right now with a 10 and no spike. That's going to be the game as they clean it up with the Nexus dropping, with the teleports coming through, the Nico R for the style, and that is it.
That is a great game on the side of HBK. Like, I'd say they didn't have the best draft. I loved RLS's draft a lot more, but the way they actually executed and how they showed off their skills, like the Jhin 10-0, you can't really argue too much with that.
Yeah. This is definitely one of those games where HBK they to win with the draft that they selected, especially since they have multiple champions that have anti-synergy. They don't really synergize very well with each other. Sona was relatively ineffectual in the team compositions, with the ARB having not enough distance to really make a massive impact on these fights. And they really indexed a lot on having their lanes just perform better. And lucky for them, that did happen. You have a 4,745 damage Orianna. Anytime that happens, you're in a really, really happy state. That
She did
basically
her
made it
best.
so.
It's okay.
Yeah, that basically made it so the Kog'Maw was the only threat. And in that case, when your Kog'Maw is your only threat, and he is going to be taking that massive amount of damage, and the Gale Force was unable to get him away. I mean, when that happens, you're really happy with what you have coming out.
Yeah, that was brutal. I think the only reason that set had as much damage as it did, because like you just spend hours and hours just punching on the Cho'Gath, who just soaks up all of your damage and just brushes it off towards the late game for his usefulness.
Yep, absolutely. And the Lulu, who's basically sitting there like.
Of course, she did the most, practically the most useful team, combat wise. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is going to be it for our first match of the day. Stay tuned because we have an interview coming out, and we can hear from our winning team and really see what they have, what they thought of how they performed today.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here with the first interview of the day. I'm joined by Flora Elzars from the victorious Team H Block. How are you feeling after that win?
I'm feeling quite content. Our team played really well, and I'm happy that we pulled the win.
talk to me about the plan coming into this game with the draft that you put together. I am a huge Nico connoisseur, so I was a big fan of seeing that come out. You also had the spicy Sona tech, let's say. How did you feel about the draft you guys put together in your plan for this game?
Yeah, so it was a really well thought out draft. So essentially, what we planned to do was I would be playing Apex during the draft, while my team took command of the actual draft phase. My Apex game went well, for those of you wondering, and I did have a lot of confidence with my team into what they were going to pick for bot lane. They know exactly what champs I play, what champs I play well against, which champs I am not well against, and what kind of synergies I like playing in the bot lane. Now, that all went out the window when they decided to lock in Jhin, which is a champ I haven't played for a while, and my support decided to play Sona instead of Seraphine, which he assured me would get us the win, and in the end it did, so I'm quite glad.
So, classic AD carry things. Just, put all the blame on your team in case things went wrong. So, respect that as a support main. So, talk to me, though, about... So, okay, your team griefs it in draft for you. So, you're now stuck in this lane with Jhin Sona against the Cog Lulu. How did you think that matchup was going to go? And then how did you feel about how it turned out for you?
Well, at first I was a little worried when I got into the call with my team a little late and they told me we were playing against Cog Lulu. Because as we all know, that is a pretty devastating combo throughout most stages of the game, especially since we're playing Jhin Sona. Sona's a champ that struggles early game, that doesn't do much damage, and I can't really do much with a support that only heals me and speeds me up. So I was a little worried, especially during laning phase, but we said we'd play slow and really focus on top and mid. And you saw early game, our top laner and mid laner played fantastic that game. They're getting solo kills all the time, so we didn't really have to worry much, except for just not letting Cog and Lulu get ahead. So we were a little worried playing against them in laning phase, but as the game progressed, we realized that we were essentially going to dominate the game, so it wasn't really a problem at the end.
Yeah, it was pretty good that you had a little bit of a mid-top diff in that game. Took a lot of the pressure off of you by putting the pressure coming out in those lanes, but also it's like, the Cog, the Juggernaut kind of comps, they're really only as good as the parts around them, as well as the Kog'Maw being able to function, because parts of the comp fall off, the Kog'Maw will just get murdered. So I feel like it really worked out for you that, even though you get stuck in this unfavorable lane, let's say, your team really stepped up, you stepped up in it. No deaths, so, keeping the KDA player for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Respect. Okay, so let's move on and talk about your place in the league now. So your team's 5-4. How are you feeling about your competition in the league at AD carry, but also just about your team's place in the league?
Well, the thing is, I really started playing with their team just yesterday, but I do intend to be the permanent AD carry role. The standings right now, I think it's decent because we have been alternating who is playing ADC and jungle, but I think now we're really going to start defining our team as to permanent roles. So I plan on being a permanent ADC role. I'm not sure about Pro Lupul, but we might permanently keep him jungle going forward. And we're definitely going to continue working on our synergy, or flex queuing more often, or working together. And I think we can definitely progress through the rankings. For example, so yesterday we had a very poor game, but today we played fantastic. We had some really good engages in fights that game, with Set pulling everyone in, Sona ulting everyone, you're having Volibear jump into their whole team. So I think as long as our team can continue flex queuing together and really just playing more games as a team, scrimming more often, I think we can definitely progress higher through the rankings.
Yeah, you guys did a really good job, especially pointing out that you're joining the roster for the first time really yesterday. You guys did a good job of pulling the trigger at the right time at the same time. Like the fight just below Dragon really comes to mind. Set gets the really amazing ult on, I'm pretty sure it was the Cho. I might have been the Kane, but gets it into 4, maybe 5 people, and then that was just followed up with the face breaker. E pulling everyone in, and then you got the layering of Bully just jumping onto everyone, and then the Nico ult. So good, it shows a lot of good teamwork on your part, and I hope that continues, and you guys continue to rise to the ranks. Flora, thank you so much for joining us for an interview. Do you have any final words before we step away?
Yeah, I'm just some words of advice for the doubters. Maybe you guys might have to start voting for us more often, because we're going to start taking everyone's channel points.
Ooh, there you go. Keeping the haters on watch. Well, thank you so much for joining us for an interview, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Tub versus Oh Dear. So don't go away.
What makes you an exception?